Hi everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi.
Okay, so this question is for all of you. In the film, you see with the pill when you possess someone's power only for 5 minutes. So I wonder if you had to embody one's power for 5 minutes in the music industry, who would it be and why? Dead or alive, by the way. And Jamie, you could go first.
You said what?
I'll ask the question
I
again.
feel like I'm baby facing.
Okay,
Can they see me?
no problem. No problem.
Can they hear me?
Question for all of you guys. If you had to embody one power for 5 minutes in the music industry, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Their talents, their experience for 5 minutes. Who would it be?
Prince, all the way. Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I'm this all day. And not only that, because Prince as a musician taught me everything. It's like, I played the piano in church. So we would, at that time when Prince came out, my grandmother was like, well, that's that devil music. Keep the boy wearing all kinds of clothes. And I heard some songs playing backwards. Remember when he had that song, nyup, 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 and she threw that album out. This is the devil. I said, what's going on? But when you hear, I want to be your love, we would play that underneath our church chords. It was sort of like if I'm playing with an organist and we knew that lick, we would play that and we'd be like, oh, and then until the pastor caught on, who also had the album, said, hey, y'all stop all that.
I know what you're doing.
I know what you're doing. But to me, Prince was someone I had never heard. I never heard a voice like that. I never heard someone put words together like that. Even when you talk about sign of the times, in France, a skinny man died of a big disease with a little name. You just like, the dude, he says, I guess you know me well. I don't like winter, but it seems you get a kick out of doing me cold. He says, baby, I just can't stand to see you happy. But more than that, I hate to see you sad. I said, oh. And then you learn. I learned how to be romantic. And I was, and even when Purple Rain came out, I couldn't wear the hair like that, but I would try to twist. I had a curl it, I would twist, and then I put some gel right there. Just try to. And I go around Purple Rain, but like during the movie, the gel would get dry and pop. But
I relate.
If you get the Prince power, the crazy thing about that is I can second that is because I personally watched him pick up every instrument and play it in the same concert. So he would go from the keyboard to I watched him the New Year's Eve, the year of his death, in a room full of 50 people. It was like Chris Rock, myself. It was really random. Rick Rubin. It was a really random group. It was in the Caribbean, and he got on stage. He had an all-girl band. Janelle Monáe was there singing backgrounds. And again, if you take the pill and you get to be Prince, then you're going to be able to be the best keyboard player, the best bass player, the best guitar player, the best singer, the best songwriter, and the best dancer, because he could also he was doing the splits and, that. And then I guess if I was to take one like person's like an artist who does great interviews swag, it would probably be Liam Gallagher from Oasis, because he would just wear sunglasses and like own the fact that he loved himself more than anything in the world, and that he thought he was the best artist, and you couldn't tell him otherwise. He thought he was like John Lennon reincarnated. Still does. And like, yeah, so like his interview power was so unforgiving. So I really like that. And he like never apologized, which I thought was cool.
I feel like for me, I would have to, because when I think of power, I think of influence. And like, I think we conflate power and talent. And I'm someone who's, I'm not going to say cocky, but super confident in what I have, and that nobody else has that. So I don't really want to adopt anyone else's like talent power, because I think my limitations and the things that I can do are my power in and of themselves. So like, I don't want nobody else's talent. However, if we're going to talk about influence, Michael Jackson, period. People was just passing out when they saw him. He walked on the stage and people was just knocked out completely. And that's simply without singing a note, without saying anything. His presence was enough to have people going unconscious. I would like that for my life. I would ask the Lord if he would just, sprinkle a little bit of that anointing on me, because that seems like the place to be as an artist. I haven't even performed yet, meaning this man could have made a mistake. He could have got up there, forgot lyrics. He could have literally burped into the mic and there would have still been like 500,000 people in a crowd and 25% of them unconscious simply because of how he stands in himself. That's something that, like, at the end of my career, I want to be able to say I did. Like, forget about like the actual talent of stuff. I'll be able to hone my craft as I go. I'm 23, but influence, this might got to be in the conversation. I don't see how we didn't even say that.
So, thank you.
Oh, and I saw him in 1983 Victory Tour.
Flex on us.
I saw him pass out. We was in Texas, and all of the security people was coming to the front, and I was a kid. I was like, what they doing? And he came down them steps with his brother and said, "So you want to be starting something?" And people like, Mike.
Exactly. Have you ever been to like a Pentecostal church where they be like speaking in tongues? All of a sudden they just the whole crowd.
And then he disappeared.
Just leave. Did you see when he was sitting there not dancing?
And then disappeared, and people was like, where'd he go? Oh my God. Women was screaming, where did he go? And all of a sudden you hear in the back, because they started playing Beat It, and he was on what's that, the cherry
picker.
And now he's in the back of the crowd, going over the crowd, and people was passing that. It was crazy. Too much.
That's what I want. Give me that.
All right. Next up is Carl Lamar.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Carl Lamar over at Billboard. What's up, Chika? Jamie, MGK, love the movie. I guess the question that I want to ask, there's a line that really stuck out, that was really poignant to me in the movie, and Jamie, you said it. You said it to Robin when she showed you she can rap. You said, you're young, you're Black, and you're a woman. The system is designed to swallow you whole. So, Jamie, I know you're a father with a daughter. Same thing with you, Gunner. And Chika, you're an African-American woman. So I'm curious, I'll start with Chika first. What's the best advice you would give for African-American women to maneuver in a climate where the system isn't designed to let them win?
I would say to ignore the system, and not in like a way that says the system doesn't exist, because it does. And in so many ways we can't ignore it. However, when it comes to the limitations that we're told are placed on us, I think we should explore more what we actually can and cannot do. For me, as someone who literally has all the like just every label that would make you someone to fight against, like Black woman, queer, plus size, child of immigrants, like every single thing you could possibly have. Like God was like, let's put it in that, let's put it in her. And so for me, I've had so many different voices in like my direction saying what I am capable of, what I'm not, how I should see myself, what I should think of, and things that I should even fear. But what we need to remember is that our fear becomes manifestations. And so if you don't really acknowledge the things that people tell you are your limitations, in so many ways they aren't. And so I think that that's a big reason why I've even gotten to the level that I have, because I never really heard those things and let them gestate. I never let them penetrate. I never let them actually manifest into my reality. And I think Black women have so much power in and of themselves if they were to ignore everything and focus on actually honing that power, which is so much of what the movie's about, then, ultimately you have no limitations.
Oh, so dope. And I saw you. Listen to me. I saw you. I don't know if y'all know the story, but I saw this girl on Instagram. And I ain't know, Instagram was before me. I didn't even know what I'm just going through, and I saw her doing her thing, and I hit the people at Power. I said, if you want to get the future, you got to get her, man. And that's, I'll tell you what's beautiful is that when you're talking to Black women, I'm talking to my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter who's playing the piano, playing my songs from my album, and my other daughter who just sold a show to ABC, man. I never let them hear none of that bullshit. I was like, hey, we don't even take that. We go meet, we went and saw Hillary Clinton, we saw Michelle Obama, we saw all of these women that are doing it. And what's interesting about social media is a lot of that shit is sort of broken open, because before we had social media, we could only have 2 or 3 opinions, right? Social media, man, you could be exactly who you want to be, and you have your audience, you have your people. And so, and so like when I saw you, I was just like, hey man, all I could see is talent. I didn't see nothing else. I just know you moved me, and I said, please go find her. And the next thing you know, she's on this movie, and I'm like, hey man, look, and you talk about Black women. And like my daughters and what they go through, I don't let them listen to no bullshit. And I tell them, say, you're gonna be the president of the United States. You're gonna take a rocket ship out into space. You're gonna do it all. And that's all you got to do. And we got to, as men, we got to stand up for them. We got to, because a lot of times what happens is that we're guilty of perception, even when it comes to like even somebody whispering if someone, if Biden picks a female. Man, that's what we're supposed to do. We're behind. There have been prime ministers, there have been presidents all over the world. America is behind when it comes to that. This is our time to step up. This is our time to really show and prove, because we talk that shit about, oh, we're in power. Let's do it. Let's absolutely do it and stop, doing all that and make it happen.
One of my favorite clips is of, I think it was Serena and her dad, Serena Williams. Or it could have been Venus. I'm sorry. They were young. I could not tell. But I remember him going off on someone who was interviewing them because the interviewer was planting in her head whether or not she'd win or lose. And he was like, she doesn't need to hear that. Like, why are you trying to knock her down a peg? And I think that's exactly like what Jamie and I, and like, I'm sure MGK, like, I'm sure you would also agree there. Like, there's certain things that you kind of have to filter out because the world that was built around us was filtered to like be the cleanest environment for white people, for white women, for white men, for white non-binary people. It was meant to actually help them. So for us, we have to be our own filter of the information that we allow to like go through our children, what we allow them to see and what we allow them to let manifest. Like even when we take them to protest, there's certain ways of doing it that we need to be thinking of. And it is the responsibility of not only Black women, but Black men, like Jamie said, to be able to actually validate those points and like uplift our Black women, because so much so we have to do it for ourselves oftentimes.
Agreed. The power. I feel like one thing I always tell my daughter, who is Black, and she's also 11 years old. Jamie, I didn't know that both our daughters were 11, but that like the power's in you already. It's not given to you, and that's more so just kind of on what Chika was saying, where it's like it isn't designed to be set up like the system isn't pure. So like there are these realities, and like I kind of realized that it sounds. Well, the first time that when we went to see Black Panther and when we left the studio and she was like, I didn't know superheroes looked like us.
Wow.
And again, like the power of it's like Jamie said, it took a long, everyone's really behind. It's behind on with gender, and it's behind with our sexual choices, and we're behind with race, which is still mind-blowing. But I mean, I remember she was like 6 or 7 years old when Black Panther came out, I think, and we left the studio, or we left the theater, and that was like her comment, and that hurt because to me she's a queen, and she is like, like royalty to me, and like she is like a superhero, and she's got her head on her shoulders more than I have. So I mean, like it sucks that it takes like a cartoon. I don't know. It sucks that it takes like a movie like that to show something that I already thought was a reality. Mm-hmm. I already thought that we viewed ourselves as superheroes, or that she viewed herself as a superhero, and it's crazy to the system doesn't design it for it to be like that from the day they come out.
Beautiful.
Those fictional depictions shouldn't stand out as like, wow, that could be.
That's what, okay. That was my point. That's what I mean. It shouldn't take
I got exactly what you meant.
Yeah,
that's something like as like
it shouldn't take
magnificent and all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I meant to say.
I heard exactly what you meant, man.
Yeah, Carl, use Chika. That's what I meant to say.
Right. Just put my voice over it. Like we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Right, next up is Courtney Franco, and a friendly reminder to please look at the camera for your eyeline. Thank you.
So I just, as a Black woman and a hip hop head in general, that whole conversation just touched me. Like, I'm a sensitive thug, so I cried at the end of the movie. The female camaraderie, Chika with the beatbox, the bars, like the music in general, the soundtrack, y'all killed it. This question is for Chika though. So the thing that you said about confidence, I expected that from you because I listen to your music and I know a little bit about you. You know what I mean? So I expected you to push that confidence, and that's what makes me a fan. Did you purposely write Robin's bars like that specifically to make young Black girls feel uplifted and kind of like they could take over the world? Was that intentional?
I think what's funny is that a lot of people forget the time in which I wrote these lyrics and like when they actually reached out for me to work on Project Power. Like Jamie said, he was the reason that they reached out. They're like, hey, we've gotten a little recommendation. You might want to come in. And I did. But remember, I was still like broke, living in New York. Yeah, I had a following, but like a following does not pay my bills. Like I was moving back to Alabama for that reason. And so in so many ways, like I had to affirm myself. Second, ma'am. My dog is literally on her back squeaking his toy. Nah, my bad. But in so many ways, I had to affirm myself because I wasn't yet who I am now. And it's great to be me now, but I also was writing those lyrics as like basically affirmations for myself. And so with Robin, Dom's character, like I'd read the script already. Give me a second. Ma'am, bruh, I wish I could show y'all how she's holding this toy. It's literally in the air and she's squeaking it. Ma'am, could you have? Anyway, with Dom's character, Robin, I had read the script and I clearly had to write parts of it. I knew that something that was big that we needed to hammer home was the importance of believing in oneself. And that is literally one of the biggest motifs I've seen in the film itself. So yes, in so many ways I wrote it on purpose like that, but also I think my writing is always just a reflection of where I am in a certain time. And at that time, I needed to hear those words just as much as I think the viewers are going to need to hear when they actually get to see the film.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was long and painstaking.
We can't get enough of it. We can't get enough. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Could you not?
Trent Clark, please.
What's going on, everybody? Trent Clark, Hip Hop DX.
Hey.
OH, Colson. OH.
IO, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This question is for Jamie and Colson. I'm going to extend it to Colson, too. Jamie, I liked you in this role. You know, it's an interesting, role because your character actually had to act within itself. You know, he had to show versatility with his espionage and his cunningness. Mm-hmm. So, I think it extends, the padding that when Drake bestowed on you, the most talented alive. So if you were commissioned to do a versus on the acting side, actor versus actor bragging about their movies.
Whoa.
Who's Jamie Foxx challenging?
Who went out to Tommy Davis? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He deserves that. He deserves that.
What'd he do?
He knows. That's my homie. He deserves. That's my homie though.
He slept.
You know what?
I know.
I can tell you this though. I know who I would love to see in a versus, because we always talk about who's the greatest actor of all time, and I believe it is Denzel Washington. But it's a 1A, 2A because it's Denzel and it's Al Pacino to me, and I'll tell you why. First of all, Denzel, anything he embodies, you cannot say that person doesn't exist somewhere. I was talking to Leonardo DiCaprio at one point. He says, "Hey, pal, that Denzel, when he plays those characters, he really scares me. He looks like he could really take your neck out." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "He embodies it on every level." And at the same time, Al Pacino, the reason he's so important is because he has played so many different ethnicities and still been at the top. If you look at me, he played Italian, he played Puerto Rican, he played Jewish,
Cuban. Scarface is Cuban.
He played Cuban. I mean, so to watch those movies go back and forth, if you watch a Training Day and then Scarface, to me, that's the verses that I would like to see. And I think, I gotta get my weight up. Somebody asked me, somebody said, you'll do verses in music. I said, I ain't got no. I need some classics. I can't be out there blaming on that. I need some classics, you know.
But Jamie, if you even put just as far as biopics go, Will Smith, Ali, Jamie Foxx, Ray, just that as a versus, like.
Boy,
he about to do Mike Tyson too, so it could be Mike Tyson.
I know.
Yeah, well, listen. I take the praise, but those are some moments to even be with Will when he was doing Ali was just.
Oh my fucking God! I forgot that. Well, that doesn't. I guess it doesn't count because you're in Ali.
It's like I did a feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Courtney Brown was a feature. Muhammad Ali is a prophet. How are you going to be God's son? Soon as you come out the garage, you beat number 2.
Jeez. All right, flex on this.
And Colson, like, I mean, you know, you're still young in your acting career, but you got some clips.
I only have one lead under my belt, and it was a biopic. It was for Motley Crue, where I played Tommy Lee. So I'm playing a Western this year, and then so I kind of want to get a couple more moments where I'm on the screen for 40 minutes or more for every film.
Love it.
Before I jump into something like I'm still doing features right now.
Gotcha. It seems to be your direction though. Do you feel like you're being pulled away from hip hop? And and the acting bug is totally...
No, I think that I'm doing something that hasn't been seen yet, and that it's just unusual, and that people don't know how to categorize it, so it's being seen as like I'm leaving or departing something and doing this, when it's like the same way that when I look back at Jamie and I'm like, how crazy is it that he was this insane piano player and also like a great vocalist, but also a comedian who also is an actor, who also has been who was also at a #1 record. It's just like we don't give him his flowers yet, because we don't know what the fuck to call them. We call EGOTs because we kind of know what to call them. And you might fuck around and be an EGOT, and if you aren't, then that is what you are going to be. But
man, I appreciate that.
I just don't. No, I'm not leaving hip hop. Yeah, I mean, Andre 3000 said it my favorite way is that hip hop is a young man's game. So I think essentially when I don't have, or when I'm stopped living a certain way, or if I don't have the right vigor to deliver my lyrics with, and I'll stop. But I mean, I'm fresh 30 and I'm still fully out here. So I don't think the hip hop's gonna stop for me at all.
It's not gonna stop. And what I can tell you from being on the set with him, you got to understand, like, there was a natural quality that a lot of people don't possess. And he had that natural quality that we was going like, yo, the way he was embodying this character and what he had to go through to get it, it speaks volume. And I hope that he continues to do that, man, because now we are able to do whatever we want to do. The doors are wide open. We don't have to stay in no category, man. And I want to see it. And I even when I saw you on Bird Box, and I just, those moments where you just go like, oh, you're giving those breath of fresh air, man. So I can't wait to see what else he tackles.
All right, we've got about 7 minutes left, so maybe 1, maybe 2 questions. Jazzy, you're up next.
Thanks. First of all, shout out to Trent and Courtney for taking my questions. Great questions, guys. For all of you in hip hop, the story is told so often where, the struggles in life and just trying to, get ahead, and then they do fall into the habit of selling drugs. And you guys gave great advice in the film. I wonder what type of advice would you give to someone right now that's currently dealing with that, feeling like they just want to get into this industry, but they have to take care, like in this situation with Robin, with her mom that has diabetes, and she feel like her only way out is to sell the power pill. What type of advice would you give to someone that's dealing with that right now?
Who's faced with like real things, like meaning like
yeah, so in hip hop, oftentimes they sell drugs, prior to making it big. So I guess someone that's aspiring rapper, let's say right now, that's looking to get into the industry, and they feel like their only way to survive currently is to sell drugs, but they want to get out and they need advice or some type of guidance to try to get them on the right path. What type of advice would you give them in doing so?
I feel like we shouldn't really and I'm just speaking only because, like, as someone who just got here, you know, just arrived, just entered the chat, up until a certain point, like you always have to hustle before you get somewhere. And I'm not saying like selling drugs is the way and everyone should do that. That's not my point here. But I know for me to survive, I was selling paintings and I was having to like tap into other talents that I had in order to like make bread for the talent that I actually wanted to pursue as a career. And no, I didn't want to be up for 7 hours and not sleeping and painting something that I'm going to sell the very next day. Like, I'm not even going to spend time with this piece of art before I give it away, but I'm putting so much time into it. Of course, I would want it to like get out of that. Like, even though it's not the same as selling drugs, like it's still having to push yourself past what you would want to do in order to be able to do what you really do want to do. So I think that for advice, like I would just say, I mean, I can't really say like weed or things like that are horrible because we see the weed system in like America is a little bit biased. So I would just say, honestly, be safe. Sorry, if you want a real answer, that's the real answer. Be safe, but also be smart and also put that towards like getting out. You can't say you want to get out of something if you're not really making actual efforts and steps and having plans in order to like really live the life that you're trying to build for yourself. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. I'm not saying go sell drugs, kids. I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying
don't
prioritize yourself. Don't. Maybe don't. Maybe don't.
No, hey, listen. Look, you know, being older is just a longer take. What I look at a lot of times is that a lot of these guys are super talented, and a lot of times they feel that the validation is in that. They feel that that I have to have some sort of battle scar. I have to be put in prison. Or I have to have that battle scar. My only hope being older is that at some point that satellite shifts just a little bit back a little bit more to where it's not that. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've had young rappers. I mean, I was with Pop Smoke a few weeks just before and had a great conversation with him, you know, and he was talking about, you know, he went to college. Talked about his mom, the pastor, you know, all these different things that are sort of beautiful that we don't necessarily get to see because that's the soft underbelly of what these people are, and we have to have their persona. What I just can't take anymore is losing them. Mm-hmm. I was there when Tupac got killed. I was at the MGM Grand when I came in and MC Hammer said, "Yo, man, he gone." I said, "What the fuck is you talking about?" I said, I just seen the dude. What are you talking about? I was there when Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Now these there's no other industry like that. You don't look towards country music. You don't look towards any of the rock and roll, and these guys are being killed. So all I would say is, man, that God-given talent, we got to figure out a way. And maybe, like I said, this is coming from an older perspective. We got to figure out a way to just explore that talent. We don't have to have it. We don't have to have all of that because we can still rock, move, party, have a great time, and then let it be a backdrop. But it just, that question alone frightens me because it's like, man, I hope that, you know, there's usually nothing good that comes out of it. So it's like, you know, but at the same time, you know, it's sometimes that's where we are, but I hope that we could adjust that satellite because I don't think we could take it no more. I don't want it to be commonplace, man, where we're losing these young black guys, man, on some silly shit. So
one of my first lines of a song that I never dropped because by the time I wanted to put it out, I'd already outgrown it. But the opening line to my first single was literally, "I ain't never really hit a lick, flipped a brick in the morning. Grew up pretty sick, you could slick, call me boring. Never had a fight in my life, which is tight, because unless you got a knife, I'll be down to ignore it." That's literally me. That's how I was planning on entering the industry, being like, hey, real quick, I don't have that story. I didn't need to make that story in order to validate the shit I talk about because I live this. And I think that we have to stop romanticizing it, but also stop demonizing those who do certain things in order to make it. Because again, if we're going back to the system, which this film is about, the system was never built for us to thrive. So there are ways that we have to find, or people feel like they have to find, in order to make their own dreams come true. Whereas we give other people just chances and opportunities, and then they end up becoming the next breakout star. So like it's a two-sided coin. Like no one's just out here selling drugs because they want to. Like some people are, like to Jamie's point of the people who feel like they have to because they want that like cred, but for the most part, a lot of these people, like a minimum wage job will not cut feeding their families, themselves, and studio time or equipment or anything like that. So what can you do? And until we have a system that does like benefit everyone and does work, like ultimately all I can say for young Black people out there is like, be safe and be smart and don't do anything dumb, because again, we don't need to be losing each other like this. It's senseless and it's pointless.
All right, that's all the time we have for this roundtable. Thank you, everybody. And journalists, if you could please click leave on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Later.
Yeah.
Thank you.